Welcome to the Final Fantasy Entertainment and Podcast Network, Final Fan TV. This is the first episode of Final Podcast for the new year, and guess what? You know what? Guess what that brings? That brings predictions and hype, and also some plans for Final Fan TV. So if you want to know what Final Fantasy has in store for you in 2022, we're gonna do our best to try and lay it out for you. We have the release schedule for the first half of 2022 for Square Enix, and it is stacked. So let's get right into it. I am the chosen warrior of hype, and joined with me in the party is the Faraga fighter, Vinny. What's up, Vinny?
Nothing much. Just wanted to congratulate Daniel for this recent video that he put out, the Final Fantasy VII Remake with classic PS1 camera, breaking 120,000 views in the first 4 days, getting us like 500 subscribers from just that video on YouTube.
Yeah.
That was, and I don't remember all of the websites, but I know it was on USA Today and Polygon. That was pretty mind-blowing seeing, something that you're a part of on those articles.
Thank you so much, Vinny. Yeah, actually, we just got a share from the Reunion podcast. It's a great podcast. Go check them out. The Reunion and FF7R podcast said, "Hey, look, another one. Eurogamer.net has now shared it and featured the Final Fantasy VII remake with classic camera." So as Vinny was saying, yeah, I mean, let me just go over some milestones real quick. Please indulge, and then we'll go right into the predictions and stuff. But we're just so thankful for the milestones that we've hit recently. 1,500 followers on Twitter. We are just shy of 500 followers on Twitch. 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, which means we have officially made partner with YouTube, baby. Final Fantasy VII Remake with classic camera is a massive success, featured on Polygon as well as USA Today's gaming website, for the win, in addition to RPGsite.net and WCCFtech.com. Insane. And then we just found out Eurogamer. Oh my god. There's the first video, and I wrote this script like yesterday. The first video to reach 50,000 views. I'm sorry, it is at 130 or something like that now. 1,000 views. First video to break 2,000 likes, and we have nearly hit, like, I think we've probably surpassed it. I wrote this yesterday. 500 comments. And I gotta talk about those comments. I am super. I don't know. It's like an eye opening. I knew that there were Final Fantasy VII fans out there. It's eye-opening. I knew that there were fans out there that just kind of really wanted Remake to be that top-down camera style with turn-based combat. And I don't know, I guess throughout the past 2 years it's kind of slipped into everybody loves Remake, you know what I mean? I mean, obviously I think the only point of contention was going to be that's what they did with the story. And that's kind of where I'm at with it, right? So like the story makes me nervous. I'm not gonna lie. I'm still very anxious about that. But I had never thought like that there were still so many people divided on wanting that classic cam, right? Like that classic over the top camera looking down at Cloud running around this in a fixed environment, right? Fixed cam environment. And they also want that classic turn-based action, ATB combat. And yeah, that was it. There's a lot of commenters on that video, and I'm glad that the video that I made for them, like they're like, oh my god, this is what I wanted, this is amazing. I'm glad that this kind of made them feel good, or maybe it made them feel bad because what could have been, I guess, I don't know. But yeah, so thank you for commenting on that. Opinions are always welcome on Final Fan TV, so go ahead and let us know. Let us know what you're thinking of it, whether you loved it or you didn't, or what you wish you had. Always going to support that here on Final Fan TV. Will not support insulting others. but yeah.
At the time of filming right now, it's at 3.3 thousand likes, 0 dislikes, and 669 comments. And
Well,
one thing I've
yeah, it doesn't
noticed.
show the dislikes anymore. There's 15, which
Oh,
is
it
not
doesn't?
bad. It's not bad at all.
Oh, okay.
15, that's okay. I'll take it. But yeah, it doesn't.
Um,
YouTube doesn't show them anymore. For
Now I haven't obviously read all 669 comments, but
I
one thing I
have.
noticed. Oh, have you?
Yeah, I've been trying to comment on every one of them. But go ahead. Sorry.
Um, One thing I have noticed is that even the people who are being critical of the classic camera angle, they're being critical, but they're not being insulting. They're,
Mm-hmm.
it's critical in a positive way. Like some
Yes.
people, not verbatim, but some people are like, this kind of shows how it doesn't work unless
Yeah.
it's, unless like they can make the models a little bit bigger,
Mm-hmm.
or but at least it's positive, and that's what we appreciate.
Yeah.
Difference of opinion doesn't mean you got to insult the person you're not in agreement with, and
Exactly.
that's what we
There's only
appreciate.
been like, I swear, dude, out of all of those comments, all those views, there's only been maybe like not even a handful. Like it probably, you know what I mean, like a fingerful.
Just a fingerful,
Of just like negativity. But
just a scoop of dip.
just a little scoop, just a little scoop with the finger. But yeah, it's been actually pretty all positive, and I'm really happy about that. But like you said, man, even the constructive criticism, and it's like, yeah, for sure, man, like that over the top camera in Remake, definitely it needs a lighting. It needs better lighting for when you're running around the environment. So the mod would have to kind of implement something like that. I think where the problem that I kept running into when I was doing this is like, okay, I want to make the camera pan out far enough so that way it looks like the original, right? Because the original showcased environments like they tried to do the entire environment pretty much, and then you kind of pan around that. Cloud is oversized, unproportional to that environment, right? Like it's he's not as tall as Seventh Heaven, you know what I mean? Like, but but he's like about the size of like the half the Seventh Heaven in the original. But it's kind of like okay, so I zoom out to get the comparison video, so that looks great, and you put it side by side, and you're like, oh wow, look at that. But as you start to zoom out in Remake, the lighting kind of deteriorates. So like the lighting will actually start to turn off because you know how games work. I mean, the further away it is, it's going to start to disappear. That pop in. So I try to get the pop in just right, and then increase the field of view, or the depth of field. I'm sorry, the depth of field. But then that kind of starts to make things look a little bit stretchy. But anyways, like that was kind of the ordeal, right? So like I can zoom in as far as I can to make Cloud look like there he is. The lighting's great, Cloud is great, it's over the top, but all you get to see is like this patch of environment. You're not getting to see the full environment. So you wouldn't even know where you're going. You know what I mean? Somebody suggested, I wish I had the name on hand right now. Somebody in the comments suggested to put that little pointer finger like like from the original, to put the pointer finger on there. That would be awesome. I think I might do that as a nod to that commenter in the next video, just for like a scene or something. But yeah, anyways, man, I'm just so happy that we have something to talk about. Like the video has given us comments and engagement with people, that it gives us something that we want to talk to you about. I was thinking
Hmm.
about doing just a straight up whole video, skimming through the comments and answering them as rather than typing them out. But anyways, thank you so much. We have a big show for you guys, so we're gonna get right into it. For predicting 2022 for Final Fantasy and Square Enix, as well as the FFTV guide. We're gonna reveal our programming for 2022, like at least the first half of it. We've got some fun shows, and we got the podcast and the entertainment coming at you, right? So like that's Final Fan TV. So anyways, thank you so much for making that video successful, Vinny.
Yes.
Dude, 2022 is stacked for Square Enix. Let me tell you why. Let me go over to my release date list here, okay? I'm going to start with some of the ones that I know, okay? I'm sure I'm missing a few. Now, it's important that I go through this list to kind of give you an idea of where Square Enix is at in their mind, right? There are Final Fantasy and Final Fantasy related titles in this, but mostly you'll see. February 1st, Life is Strange Remastered. Okay, that kind of, oh sure, that kick it off. Dying Light 2 February 4th, a couple days after that. And then after that, same month, February 22nd, Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster comes out. That's on February 22nd.
Wait, Dying Light is made by Square?
It's published by Square, yeah.
The first one too? Or just the second one?
Yeah, I'm not. I know Square has Dying Light 2. I don't know
Okay,
about this.
because
I can't
I was
comment on
playing Dying Light 1 the other day, and I don't remember seeing anything
that.
Square
Yeah.
pop up.
I'm not too sure about that, honestly. I can't comment on that.
That's
Maybe
interesting
anybody
that
in
they.
chat tell us we're wrong and tell us what we got to do. Like the kind of funny thing. I hopefully, if we had finalfantasytv.com/you're wrong, that'd be great. But we don't. So just tell us in the chat. Non-Square title here, but Elden Ring comes out February 25th. Dude, we're still in
wait.
February. February 25th. Vinny, are you streaming that or what do you think?
Elden Ring?
Yeah.
I mean, that's we could take a poll
We can take a
to
poll.
see if that's what people want to see.
Okay. Fair
I
enough.
will absolutely stream Elden Ring. I'm going to be playing it regardless, so I might as well
Yes.
stream it if people want to watch that. But
For sure, man. It's in preparation for Stranger of Paradise. You know what I mean?
right,
But
Dark Souls
I mean,
with jumping is going to be amazing.
um, any game with jumping from now on will be an Elden Ring born Souls.
Right.
A Ring Soulsborne. So Babylon's Fall on March 3rd.
Excited for that too.
Yep. Dude, okay, just this right here is insane to me. March 3rd, Babylon's Fall. March 4th, Triangle Strategy, which I'm excited about. Basically, Final Fantasy Tactics, but with the 2D HD look to it. I'm excited about that. Chocobo GP on March 10th, which is a Nintendo Switch exclusive, but I'm really excited. It has a free-to-play option, but also a full purchase option. I mean, we got Final Fantasy IX characters in there, such as Vivi and Steiner are already there in Alexandria as a track. We've seen Terra from Final Fantasy VI. So, yeah, man. Like, Chocobo GP looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm hoping what they've shown us is base characters. And then you start unlocking, like, Midgar, right? Like, you unlock these characters. Because that would be a lot of fun. That would be the Chocobo GP that I want. Like, to unlock Final Fantasy VII's Cloud and Midgar, right? And then you get to drive around. That insane. And then, like, you just kind of... And DLC can come in. There's so many opportunities. Final Fantasy Origin, Stranger of Paradise, March 18th. All of that in March. They're trying to hit that number, I think. Yeah, Stranger of Paradise, March 18th. Vinny, are you, like, how excited are you for this one, man? Because you're a Soulsborne guy, and you're a Final Fantasy guy.
It's like the best of both worlds. Seeing so like whenever anything comes out and the vast majority say it's a Souls-like, and then I play it, and then it's got like some Souls DNA, but it doesn't have what makes Dark Souls, so great. I get disappointed, and a lot of people are saying, they played the demo, the beta, whatever, and that it's legitimately a Souls-like. So it has me excited, and then
Did you ever play Neo? Because Neo
Yeah.
is the same developers.
Of course.
I don't. Yeah. Of course I did.
Of course I played Neo.
Yeah. So it's the same developer as Neo. So it might be kind of following that bloodline. You know what I mean?
Which that would be fine. Neo to me was different enough from Dark Souls to where it wasn't like a direct copy, but Neo also felt a little easier, which is it's fine. Not everybody wants a game that's like so difficult that you have to devote time to beat it. Some people want to just be able to stomp through the game.
Can you imagine?
That's why.
I mean, you won't have to imagine because we've already seen them. The 4 fiends as boss fights.
I know that's what got me excited. Seeing Tiamat as a boss, I was like, I can't wait, because that's like my favorite boss fight from Final Fantasy 1. So I was like, oh, Dark Souls style Tiamat fight is gonna be amazing. Like
Throw.
you got to worry about each head, like an
Oh
actual
yeah.
Like a Dark Souls boss. Like you have to worry about so many different things. I feel like Tiamat is gonna be like you got to worry about the heads and know each head's like attack pattern and stuff. I think that's
Yeah.
gonna be great.
Yeah, for sure. I'm so excited to watch you play, but also it's got a co-op feature, so I might even join you
Mhm.
and drag you down. But yeah, that's gonna be fun. Throwing a little Limp Biscuit, and we got ourselves a game, bro. Forspoken, May 24th. Now that's one that I'm extremely excited about. Forspoken it's not a Final Fantasy title, but it could be. You know what I mean? Like when this game was shown, I honestly felt like this could be Final Fantasy 17. Like I was just joking. Like, I was like, dude, this they could slap Final Fantasy 17 on this, and I would be okay with that. But it's made by Luminous, the guys or the team that made 15, and man, I'm stoked for that one. So excited.
See,
And I
uh,
just found out, I don't know how this went over my head, but Amy Hennig and Gary Whitta, which are the writers for Uncharted and Rogue One, respectively, like, they're the writers of this game. Like, that's insane. Or at least they helped out with it. That's insane. This game is going to be so good, story wise, too. Um, okay, after that, we're done with titles that I know have official release dates, right? That took us to May 24th with official release dates, with March just being incredible. Actually, you can even start that with February 22nd, Final Fantasy VI Pixel Remaster, all the way to March 18th. Just what? You know what I mean? Every week you get something. um, Final Fantasy VII First Soldier Season 2 is going to be coming out. What was the date of that one, Vinny? Because I can't remember how much time is left on this one.
it was like season one had like 90 days, like 30 days ago. I'm gonna say I think it ends in March, actually.
Around
February and
Marches.
March, I think it ends.
Okay.
I'll tell you right now once I load in for
Yeah,
the
let me.
first time in like 2 weeks.
Oh, I know, man. It's been a little bit. Now, here's the question, right? I mean, it's been the holidays, so we haven't really been able to jump in too much. So what about Final Fantasy VII First Soldier Season 2 would have you really excited? What do you want to see? Once again, or I guess for the first time this episode, but we're going to be talking about this a lot. It's the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII. It's time to go big, right? Like we need to have events, especially for games like First Soldier, and we'll talk about Ever Crisis in a minute. But these are the games they should have really big events to celebrate a big celebration of the 25th anniversary. Do you think the 25th anniversary should start with season 2? I mean, right? Like that would make sense. And how do you think they could celebrate it and make it exciting? And Brave Exvius, yeah, of course.
So says First Soldier season one ends in 50 days. So that's about so there's about 22 more days left in January. So yeah, the end of February it's looking like it's so the beginning of March is when season one is going to end for the First Soldier.
Beginning of March. So once again, let's throw another thing in March. You know what I mean? Let's throw
Right.
another thing in March. So I think what's important to note is that First Soldier launching in March, or second season launching in March. I think it's important to note that because I don't think Ever Crisis will like line up with that. Right? I
Mm.
don't think they would want to compete with themselves unless if they wanted to do like some kind of event, right? So like Ever
Well,
Crisis event for season
if
two.
Ever Crisis is free,
Yeah,
then there's really no competition.
it's true. They would just it's competition for your time, I guess. Like, do you want to log in? When you log in, do you want to do First Soldier or do you want to do Ever Crisis? Um,
Mm.
but yeah, I mean, I guess what I'm trying to say is that they either will not want to like to kind of compete for your time there with this launching the second season of First Soldier. I'm sure they kind of want to make that big and kind of make that feel like, hey, the trial run's over, baby. Let's get this thing going.
Mm.
Um, and that let's keep the focus on First Soldier. Or they want to just say like Ever Crisis is coming in with a First Soldier crossover, so you need to play First Soldier in order to unlock things in Ever Crisis and blah, back and forth.
Mm.
But either way, it's the 25th anniversary, Vinny. What about season 2 do you want to see? What do you predict? What do you predict? We'll see.
For First Soldier, um, for First Soldier, I would like a more full battle pass, more than just chocobo food. Like
Yeah.
50% of the battle pass is chocobo food.
Hmm.
The cosmetic stuff that they do have is really cool, but they could replace chocobo food with more Shinra packs, or they can add dive emotes or dive trails when you're jumping out of the helicopter. There's a whole bunch they can do with the battle pass that doesn't just feel like we don't know what to put here. Let's put some Geishel greens.
Okay.
Um,
Yeah, for sure.
that's uh maybe some more balancing because w- um there's a lot of like what kind of like what happened with Spellbreak.
Mm.
Once more people started playing Spellbreak and more people started realizing what was useless and what was really, really good,
Yeah.
you started ended up like the last, couple circles, you always ran into these same builds. Everybody had the same build. There was no variety. It was, everybody's going to be jumping way up into the air and then, launching fireballs
Yeah.
at each other. Like in First Soldier, you have the sorcerer, which is, vastly OP by end game because he's throwing three full powered fireballs at you,
Yeah.
healing on kills, dropping an arcane field, stuff like that. Like
Yeah. And it's
uh,
okay. Yeah. Yeah.
so some balancing. I know they've been working up to it. They effectively made the chocobo not as powerful, um,
Mhm.
which was great. I haven't played. I've played it after the update, um, and it was funny. Once you took out the team kill with the thunder, I saw a whole bunch of people running and
Thunder.
dropping thunder on the team fight and just
Yeah.
fighting.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah.
it was a good answer to the warrior. You see a warrior rushing you, you're just like, I'm gonna drop this right here. It can't hurt me. It's only gonna hurt him. So, but fire was untouched, and warrior and sorcerer were untouched,
Hmm.
which was strange. But I'm assuming they're probably not going to change anything about the warrior and the sorcerer until season two, and I think that's when we're going to see more balancing. But that's all mechanical,
Yeah.
stuff.
Yeah.
That's usually
Quality of
where
life
I
improvements that it definitely like if season two like kicks off with like, hey, here's a bunch of quality life balancing and improvements. I feel like we've like they say we've reached a good happy medium here, and it's all launching with season two. I think that would make everybody kind of want to jump back in. Um,
um
Good
I
points.
guess some in season two because we don't know what we know. Season one is Rise of Shinra.
Yeah,
And if they're going to be doing things continuously, I think that's a word,
yeah,
but you
sure.
know what I
I've heard
mean.
it. I've heard of that. Yeah.
um, I don't know what's going to come after Rise of Shinra because we already have some, you know, timeline breaking stuff with, the red-eyed cloud,
Yeah.
um, which, you know, I don't know if it's going to be maybe Genova themed, but seeing more of a larger variety of in-game events happening. So instead of just Scorpion, Tank, and Cloud,
Yeah.
have more. Because now I could be wrong. I'm not 100% sure. I haven't watched the trailer too many times, but I'm pretty sure that what I saw in the trailer was Bahamut and not a Cerulean Drake.
Oh, at the very end of that trailer, that looked a
Yeah,
whole lot like Bahamut. Yeah, for sure.
right. And Bahamut's not in the game yet. So,
Hmm. So you think new summons will come along with it?
definitely.
Yeah. The theme, if you're going continuously,
Yeah.
I don't know if it's a word, but we're gonna use it.
Yeah.
If you're going that way, man, I honestly, I guess you could focus on Sephiroth. Like you could focus on him coming into play here, or I've said it on the show before, but I'll say it here real quick. I'd love to see a Sephiroth event where he becomes the first soldier. Like this game is about Sephiroth after all. He is the first soldier is which we're going with. And like he comes onto the battlefield every now and then and the game changes, that the meta changes. You're no longer fighting to be the last one standing. You're fighting to be the last one living, and then Sephiroth will inevitably kill you. Like when you get to that final circle and Sephiroth's in that circle, you're battling against other teams and you can't beat Sephiroth, so just run like hell if you see him.
Hmm.
I think that would be amazing. I'd love to see an OP guy on the like OP Sephiroth running around. But
Now,
anyway, so
correct
Yeah, go ahead. I'm sorry.
correct me if I'm no, you're fine. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I don't remember. So I know in First Soldier, the ranks once you reach like higher rank, it goes Soldier third class, Soldier second class, Soldier first class,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
and then after that is Soldier Prime. I've never
Uh
heard of Prime
yeah, I'm
in
just gonna go
so
with that's they're gamifying it, man. Like I don't know what is canon and what isn't canon anymore
well
in that
everything
game.
is canon, I guess,
Yeah,
because they said that this is part of the timeline. They said First
they
Soldier is
did,
part of the
they
timeline.
did. But how much? How much is it? Just the cinematic trailers they show? Because sure, but if it's like the game, you're gonna be. It's like then you start to get into that like that situation where like okay, so what you're telling me is that there were candidates running around in Moogle suits, like Shinra
Right,
allowed that to happen. I don't know, like so I think it's
right,
kind of
but
like finding that balance between like oh we just want to throw in uh although I think any event is going to be canon, so like Cloud coming out of that the mystery thing, I think that's canon. Like that's an event. I think event style stuff is going to be canon. I think cinematic trailers are going to be canon, and I think the story is going to be told through that. So with season 2, I think we're going to get a substantial story beat with the new trailer.
right. But it
Yes.
was a creative decision to add that extra because they could have stopped at Soldier First Class and it wouldn't have changed anything if they added another rank down
Yeah,
in the
that's
lower tier. They could have, you know,
I
like
don't like it though, man. I don't like it. So it's like so what you're telling me is that Sephiroth wasn't the best. You know what I mean? Like
because
cuz like
he was first class, right?
yeah,
He
cuz
was
he was
considered
first class.
soldier.
He's not Soldier Prime. I don't know. I see that's the kind of thing where I like comfortably will say, "Oh, that's just the game. That's not canon." Cuz I wouldn't like
Right.
that. And then if you come around and tell me that Genesis is Prime, I'm gonna be like, "I hate you."
Right.
But no, anyways, so that's Final Fantasy 7 or First Soldier. We can talk about that a lot. We're really
Hmm.
excited about First Soldier season 2 cuz me and Vinny, man, we love that game. And
Hmm.
I think it has so much potential. Really hoping season 2 brings along more platforms. It was on their survey and a lot of people said like this is what we want. We want it on PC and consoles.
Hmm.
If they could do anything, put it on PC, just anything. But also we have Google Play coming up, so that eventually it will be on PC, I think.
Hmm.
Anyways, moving on from First Soldier, which is going to be beginning of March, season 2. Let's talk about Final Fantasy 7 Ever Crisis. Okay, so it's 25th
Okay.
anniversary once again of Final Fantasy 7. Ever Crisis was announced 2 years it was like the beginning of last year, I think. Ever Crisis. So this is basically the another chance at a remake. So basically this is your top down camera angles that people have been commenting on that video that they want. It also doesn't look like they're bringing back the combat, the traditional Final Fantasy 7 combat. But me personally, I think it looks amazing. Going from the it's like a chibi style, I guess, but it looks really cool. I like it. Camera and gameplay of exploration, and then when you get into a fight, it zooms in and goes into a remake style graphics, which blows my mind. It's very reminiscent of the original Final Fantasy VII, where like graphics looked a lot better in the battle as opposed to the field. So I think it's going to be really cool. I'm really excited about it. I am a little nervous about gotcha mechanics and all this other stuff, right? So, what are your thoughts on Final Fantasy VII Ever Crisis? Personally, I predict a quarter 3, so I'm thinking like fall to celebrate it. Maybe September to line up with the North American anniversary. So go ahead, Vinny. What are your thoughts on that?
So I'll open this up with saying like I don't fully understand exactly what NFTs are. I
Okay.
know that um everything I'm seeing from people on Twitter or on articles that are popping up that NFTs are widely you know disapproved,
Mm-hmm.
and I don't fully know what they are because like when I read one article, it kind of explains it as like it's like, pay to play,
Hmm.
and I don't see a problem with pay to play. It's it just I don't have a problem with pay to play because like Final Fantasy 14 is pay to play. So if they wanted a game that was pay to play, why not just put out a pay to play
Like
game?
a subscription model.
A subscription model, or if you buy Ever Crisis, chapter 1 is $5, chapter
Honestly,
2 is
I could
$5,
totally
chapter 3
see
is.
that. Yeah, like I would
But I
I would
don't.
do that. I would totally do that
Right,
for
you
Ever
pay
Crisis for sure.
you pay for what you want to play. um See, Vincent, I don't know what blockchain are like. I
Yeah.
don't I don't know
We
what
need to we
blockchain is.
like before I guess before we comment on it or anything like that, I guess we really need
Right.
to educate ourselves on it. I'll be honest with you, I've done some research on it, and it's I guess basically I can speak on this in this terms, right? Where I'm not fully
So it's
educated on
crypto.
it. But I can speak on it to where like, wow, what a bold decision to like come out and say on New Year's, kicking off the new year, that hey, we're interested in NFT when NFT is a hot topic right now. I think that was interesting to me. And then obviously, I get that they have a business model. They have something that they have in mind. Maybe fans and the developers are not really quite on the same page, but they're gonna like it. Maybe eventually, microtransactions have come a long way. Microtransactions were very, you know, like gamers get that away from me, right?
Well, I mean, you
And
had Star
Battlefront,
Wars. I
yeah,
was gonna say Star Wars Battlefront 2 was basically like
yeah.
you have to pay for progression or
That's
something like
I
that,
think
and
that's
if
the
you wanted the
fear,
best stuff, yeah.
right? I think that's the fear of a lot of people. Um, yeah, and they wanted to
Hey, no
satisfy
way.
the shareholders. Thank you. No way. Good to see you guys in the chat. So basically, I'm just saying the only thing about that statement that had me a little. I was like, come on, really? Please don't say that. He said, I know that there's some people who. Let me make sure. So get.
It was like some people enjoy
Yeah,
play for fun.
play for fun. He said, I realize that some people that play for fun voice their reservations. And I'm like, isn't that what video games are about? But I guess they're trying to reach out to these gamers that do like to play gotcha games. They love the like. There's gamers out there that want NFTs. So if they're kind of diverting this little section for them, right? They're not going to go all in yet. There's just like, trust me, we're not going to touch Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 with it. We're going to leave it for these guys. The thing that kind of makes me nervous is that Ever Crisis seems like the perfect opportunity for them to explore. So that's because that's a mobile game. It's free to play or whatever. So I feel like that's where they're going to explore
Now, what I
NFTs
don't
with.
understand is how it's saying how when Vincent said it's crypto, it's not about paying to play,
Yeah.
it's about crypto. So like, are these microtransactions only like I don't fully understand it.
Yeah.
So like, do you need to pay for stuff with crypto, or like do you need to buy their crypto in order to do stuff in the game?
Yeah, so here's what we'll do. For that conversation, for that topic, if you're watching and you feel the need to comment and educate us, we appreciate that. Comment
Hmm.
below. Let us know what you think of NFTs. Let us know if you think that they're good for gaming. If you think that Square Enix is going to keep them in their own little box and like you're not gonna, don't worry, it's not going to seep into other things. Let us know what you think. What's the harmful effects on the environment that I've been reading about? But also, just make sure that you keep it civil. I know it's a hot topic. If somebody loves NFTs, let them be. Let them comment and say that they love it, and let them express their feelings. Don't insult them, even if they want to watch the world burn. All right, leave that to Batman, not you.
Right.
So
Yeah, my old man brain just started understanding microtransactions, and now they're throwing NFTs at me.
So moving on from Ever Crisis, we're predicting is going to be a fall 2022. Hopefully, even line up with that September release, right, of the North American. Right, that would be kind of cool.
Mm.
So for some reason, like, my mind just drew a blank. I was like, why is December popping into my mind? I feel like I should know my Final Fantasy VII, right? But now, for some reason, if it's December, let me know. Let me know I'm wrong. Anyways, the original. So Final Fantasy VII, 25th anniversary, exciting times for Ever Crisis and First Soldier Season 2, which should be leading the charge in terms of games and events and celebrating this occasion. Hopefully we see it. So we're going to get to rumors and predictions on things that we want to see in a little bit. So that means Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2, if we're going to see it this year. We will get to that in just a little bit. Let's round it out with the other announced titles from Square Enix. Dragon Quest III HD 2D. Dragon Quest 12, which I don't think will come out this year. But that's going to be exciting because they're basically reinventing that series, and it's going to be very mature. So that's interesting. I'm really excited about that, and the combat too. So maybe it'll be a point of contention for that series as well. So Star Ocean: The Divine Force. Those are the games that we know are coming out in the first half, the first half of 2022 and beyond. Man, dude, that's exciting, especially from February 22nd into March. Literally week after week after week. Titles, man.
And I'm gonna say this every podcast until it happens. I hope that Square Enix buys the rights to Prototype so we can get either Prototype 1 Remake or Prototype 3. I'm gonna say that every single podcast until we can get it.
Okay, so we'll just will it into existence. Okay.
Yep.
I'm good with it. Somebody said Legend of Legia or Legaia. I might be saying that wrong. Legend of Legaia, and I was like, dude, Legend of Dragoon first. All right, come on.
We don't need Legend of Lugia
yet. All right, so let's go on to prediction time. Oh wait, what's up? Final Fantasy VI. Yeah, we're moving on to it, baby. It is time.
Now we're doing predictions.
We're doing predictions. Okay, so I just wanted to go with games that we knew were coming out in 2022. I wanted to get that out of the way first. Actually, I guess Dragon Quest 12 didn't belong in that list because I don't think they're coming out. But anyways, Dragon Quest 3 HD 2D will be there. Anyways, let's get into the predictions. And you know what? It's time for the Warrior of Hype check, baby. All right, Vinny, let me tell you what's up with Final Fantasy 16 is coming this year. We know that the next info drop is in spring, and we know that the game has been delayed for 6 months, which is important. Keep that in mind. So thank you, Yoshi P, for your openness to the fans. I really respect that. I really do. I feel I have nailed down an extremely accurate hypothesis, Vinny. I predict a new State of Play trailer in May, which will get a hype story trailer, and at the end of that trailer, it will say more to come in June. You skip ahead to June. During a Square Enix Presents showcase, we will go hands-on with a deep dive gameplay presentation. This promotional campaign may sound familiar to you because it's exactly how Final Fantasy VII Remake was handled in their promotional campaign. And they announce Holiday 2022 release date, except they don't say Holiday 2022, Vinny. They give you an official release date.
All right.
Okay, there's more. If I had to guess, and I'm going to put this out there in the open, so that way if it does come true, like, hey, I did that. November 17th or my better gut feeling, December 15th. Now, last year, I had predicted that they would show at the Game Awards and launch in summer 2022. Do you remember that, Vinny? Okay, well, if that prediction was indeed correct to the original vision, how right am I? You know what I mean? It's been delayed by 6 months. It would line up perfectly with the dates I had just said for gameplay and launch. So why am I so confident? Well, shout out to Twitter user at AWHII2115 for sharing an image from an official Play Has No Limits ad that says, in a hidden detail in the background, it says Valisthea 616. All right, so which has led many to believe that the game will launch, or no, not the game, that the game will be revealed. Like the next big drop is going to be on June 16th, right? Because that's kind of like the end of the spring time window that they have talked about. They're thinking like, oh man, they're teasing June 16th for the info drop, but no. Here's the twist in my mind. That ad was created before the game was delayed. So I believe June 16th was the planned release date for Final Fantasy 16. And it was indeed, as I had predicted, going to be shown at the Game Awards and release on that date, June 16th. The 6-month delay allows it to line up with my predictions. This has been a warrior of hype check. What do you think, Vinny?
Sounds good to me. I mean, I was hoping you were going to say your prediction is that it was supposed to be released, Q1 of 2022, and then since it got pushed back 6 months, there's going to be a Square Enix Presents, and at the end of the trailer, it's going to be available now.
That's a very good point, Vinny. I did very optimistically predict during that. I said, oh yeah, they'll show at the Game Awards, and Yoshi P wants people to play it right away, so they'll release it in January. If that is the case, then June 16th could very well be the launch date. I don't know, because then it's like a 6-month delay from January. But I don't know. That's crazy. Because then you're just getting over literally Forspoken releasing the month before and all of those other bangers that we had just talked about. Dude, I don't know, man. I don't know. I feel like I've pretty much nailed it down. Like that 6-month delay kind of, and then when somebody shared that picture, that the Twitter user that I said earlier, shared that picture to me and it said Valisthea 616. I was like, oh my God, that's a very good find. I think they will announce something. That makes a lot of sense. Square Enix presents Summer Showcase during the E3 Summer Games Fest time. It makes a lot of sense. And then I was like, but what if they had planned on releasing Final Fantasy 16 right after E3? Like, what if the original plan was like, we show Game Awards, and then E3 time, it's like, let's show one more thing to get people super hype. It's a launch trailer. We launch it June 15th or 16th. And I just kind of feel like, man, if that 6-month delay, and he was very specific, which is interesting, right? Mm-hmm. It delayed by 6 months, and it's like, okay, cool. So your original plan, which he had talked about a lot before, was like, we really want to show something, but we don't think it's quite ready yet. And this was at TGS. And he's like, we don't think it's quite ready yet, which is kind of like they wanted to show at TGS. They wanted to show at Game Awards. And they want to release it almost immediately after showing it. So,
no matter when it releases, hopefully I have a PS5 by then. I still can't get one.
Yeah, that's the true reasons for the delay. Right? Nobody's on this console, or there's not enough people yet. I mean, there is a huge install base, don't get me wrong, but not a lot of people like yourself have it. So yeah, I mean, dude, I feel like I was really excited about that to talk about it, but now, if anybody has any 16 predictions or stuff in the chat, let me know. Vinny, what are you like? Are we good to move on from 16, or what are your thoughts on 16? You know what I mean? Like, we don't have to go into a full deep dive conversation about it, but like, what are you excited to see? What are you predicting to see?
See, it's hard to speculate because literally they said we're gonna release as little as possible to avoid speculation.
Yeah.
So like they are literally giving us nothing. Mm-hmm. While giving us just enough to like speculate. I think you touched on all the points, because basically anything I say at this point is probably just like I'm pulling it out of my ass because I really have nothing to really go.
I know,
off
right?
of.
We want to make content so bad for 16, but we're just kind of like,
right,
we got nothing to go on right now.
right. It's so hard.
Besides
to
a 1-year-old information, or like a year-old information.
Right.
So let's move on to some other ones before we get to that Final Fantasy VII Remake topic, because, obviously that's probably going to be the main event here. let's talk about Final Fantasy 13, right? Now, this is one that has been kind of creeping up a lot. It's been building up the past year, or at least last year, right, Benny? Like, people want to see remasters or a port of this game, and when I say people, I mainly mean players on the PlayStation want a remaster or just be able to at least play the game on their PS4, PS5.
Hmm.
Now, I will say, if you own Xbox, the One X and Series X versions of this game, the trilogy, are really, really freaking good and remasters in their own right. I mean, we're talking they enhanced the graphics to 4K resolutions and FPS boosts. Dude, it's really, really nice on Xbox Series X and One X right now.
Hmm.
So, anyways, with that aside, a lot of people want to see it. Final Fantasy 13 doesn't have any notable anniversaries this year, if that kind of thing like matters for release
Hmm.
dates now. But PlayStation has also announced that they're going to be doing their own kind of Game Pass. So if they do have backwards compatibility with through that Game Pass model on PlayStation, maybe they'll bring it in. That'll be your port. Or do you predict we'll see it this year? Do you predict that it'll be like what are your thoughts, man? Do you want just a remaster, a port? What do you think?
Um, about 13.
Mm-hmm.
So my opinion is, why play 13 when you can play 10? That's 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 always
I mean,
that's always been my opinion on
all
it.
right then, fair enough.
Um, I played through 13, and I played through the second one as much as I could get through before I wasn't, it just wasn't for me, the second one. And then the third one felt um felt okay. That timer
Yeah, the timer.
kind of,
I'm never really a big fan of that stuff. It makes me too anxious, right? Like
right.
the
I
doomsday
I
clock
want to
and
grind, I want to
the
do other
moon
things, I want to explore.
and Majora's Mask, like that kind of
Mhm.
stuff. It's like, oh my god, I'm so anxious right now. But I mean, in its own right, they are kind of fun. But maybe it's just not for me and you.
Right,
Yeah.
like underwater levels give me anxiety too, like in any game where it's just
Mm.
like you have to manage your like your breath bar. I'm like, but there's, fine, I'll go up and get air and then
Yeah.
go back down. Like, it just,
Like, um, so if they do a remaster or a lot of people want to see like they want to see 13. Like there's a pretty good amount of people that want to see 13 kind of enhanced and like not just a simple remaster, but like people kind of want to see 13 get a good treatment. And one of the things would be
13.
obviously opening up exploration. Another thing would be, hey, maybe get rid of that doomsday clock in the like
See,
the core mechanic of the game. Let's just get rid of that.
you want to know what I didn't like about 13? And this is again coming from somebody who plays these games as with a, story being secondary to gameplay and mechanics. The story of 13 is great in its own right. But the Crystarium just takes away what I
Mm.
feel like. It's basically the, so I play Final Fantasies and I try and break them in different ways or add challenge in different
Yeah,
ways.
yeah.
The Crystarium, and the fact that you don't get a lot of opportunities to customize your party, like a lot of the storyline stuff is you need to use the teams that the game wants you to use, and then the Crystarium prevents you from grinding. So even then, when you get to a boss fight and you're already maxed out on your section of the Crystarium, it's like now
Mm.
you need to use the tactic that the game wants you to use.
Yeah.
You have to use the strategy that they want you to use. So instead of it being strategic, because I think they wanted it to be strategic, instead it's more like each fight is a puzzle and you got to figure out what combination of things that the game wants you to do in order to beat that, what are they called, eidolons in that one,
Oh
or
God.
espers.
The Fal'Cie, right?
No, I'm talking about when you like, because the
Oh,
hardest
I'm
fights in
sorry.
that game was
Mm.
was the what, eidolon or esper, well, I forgot what they're
I can't
called in
remember
that
what they
one.
called them in that. Like where
I
you get
think,
their vehicle thing. Maybe it might just be summons.
no, it
No,
definitely starts with an E. It was either eidolon or
Eidolons
esper.
then Eidolon, yeah. No.
um but I remember Saz's eidolon, and it was just a lot of like, it was hard at first, and then it wasn't hard.
Hmm.
And then there were bosses like this gigantic airship that I fought with Fang and
Yeah.
Vanille,
Yeah.
and that fight took like an hour and a half for
Yeah.
no
There were
reason
some fight.
because it was
Yeah.
just it was just a sponge. It was
Yeah.
just, you were doing 15
I
damage.
remember Barthandalos.
Mm,
God, that was a fun fight. Or not? I really, honestly, I will say that I really enjoyed the combat of 13. I don't know. I know a lot of people will think that it was not that good. And I totally understand your reasonings behind like the mechanics, building it up and leveling up and stuff. But I really enjoyed that
the
time or that combat system that they had.
ul- ultimately, my opinion on the game is it's a very long playable movie
It
because
is a very linear thing, yeah.
yeah, I mean, 10 is, like you said, 10 is more linear. If not the same, it is more
It
linear.
is more linear,
But
yeah.
the pacing in 10 I feel like is perfect.
And there was
Um,
opportunity for exploration. I think that's like, so
mhm,
if they were ever to revisit 13, like if this was going to be a thing, and I know we're predicting 2022 right now, so if they were to do this is why we're talking about it. If they were to do it this year, we would want to see them at least announce that 13 is going to be more than just a remaster or a port. Like they're gonna take some time and put some love into it, even if it's just the first 13. Honestly, I would be okay with that. Like even if they just focus on Final Fantasy 13 and not these sequels, and it's just like, hey, we're taking 13 and we're going to kind of fix a lot of the gripes that people have about it. Kind of like, a Zodiac Age edition, if you will. You know what I mean? Just
mhm.
kind of the Crystarium edition. So Vinny
Oh
will
God.
he will absolutely buy it. But anyways, so I want to kind of move on from 13 just
Well,
because.
just a
Yeah, go
closing
ahead.
thought on the whole thing.
Yeah.
So Square has proven that they will milk things for the money. Like the PC port of 7 Remake is $70 US. So like, that price tag, if they were to do a remaster of 13, I think a big determining factor would be like, is it going to drop as a $60 game? Because the Final Fantasy X HD remaster that came with 10 Part 2
Mhm.
was a $60 or $55 game.
Yeah.
So it's
Yeah.
like, am I going to
The
pay $60 for 3 games that I'm probably not going to enjoy all over again? Like
their
they have to.
pricing is a little interesting for sure, man.
Mhm,
Like but I mean, it's also proven that people pay it too. So it's kind of like if they do 13 and it's more than a port, if it's more than a remaster, and they actually kind of go through and touch this game up, I would pay it. I'd pay the full price. So if they go through it and they really like fix a lot of issues and they release that, what I said, a Zodiac Age edition or something like that, you know what I mean, like in that kind of
mhm.
sense, and they can put a full price on that. I think that's okay. So but if it's just a remaster, then it's like no, because on Series X and Xbox One X, I already kind of have a remaster,
Right.
and
And
it's free. Like it's a free. If I own the game, I can just play it.
at least with the 10 HD remaster, it allowed, so the biggest buying point I think for a lot of people were the people who played 10
Mhm.
and never got the PAL version of 10, where it was, like the European version,
Mhm.
where because the American release didn't have Dark Aeons, Penance,
Yeah,
Expert Spear
exactly. So
Grid,
you kind of add, yeah, yeah.
and that stuff already existed in 2001,
Hmm.
but it wasn't available unless you bought the PAL version or a different country's version of the game.
Yeah.
And then the remaster came out with that stuff, and I was like, that's cool because I played the PAL version, but I know there's probably a lot of people who have never experienced these super bosses,
Hmm.
which totally changed the game for you because they are super strategic instead of just being over leveled. You actually need to make sure that your characters are buffed a certain way so that they avoid a team wipe.
Yeah,
Um, so adding stuff like that, yeah, that'd be cool for 13.
for
But if it's
sure.
just a remaster, I don't know.
Well, moving on to Final Fantasy IX. Let's address this rumor. There's a Final Fantasy IX remake rumor. Now, anybody watching this live right now on twitch.tv/Final Fan TV, yeah, like if you guys are watching this live right now, let us know your thoughts on this Final Fantasy IX remake rumor, and we'll read them aloud. But right now, currently, it was leaked on this Nvidia thing, and a lot of people kind of seem like Final Fantasy IX is getting this resurgence with a cartoon or an anime in the works coming out sometime. I actually do, maybe it's this year. The anime will come out this year, later this year. But anyways, it's in the works. So is Final Fantasy IX Remake actually true is the question based on this leak. Me personally, I would like to say that I think this Final Fantasy IX Remake is actually kind of a remaster. I believe that it'll kind of go along the lines of Final Fantasy VIII. Maybe the same team that kind of worked on the Final Fantasy VIII remaster kind of switched gears and went on to the Final Fantasy IX to remaster that. Now, currently the best way to play Final Fantasy IX is through the Maguri mod, which just completely enhances this game and makes it look good. Just spectacular, actually. So it's almost kind of like, man, if you're going to do this, either get them guys, just make it official, the Maguri mod, and make it official, or maybe they don't want that to be the best way to play it. Maybe they want Final Fantasy IX to be played with Square Enix. Like, this is, we want to do this, we want to remaster it, we want to make money off of it, which, as they should, obviously, their company. So what do you think, Vinny? Do you think they take Final Fantasy IX and remaster it in the sense of Final Fantasy VIII did, or do you think the other flip side of that coin would be they remake Final Fantasy IX, but they keep the top-down turn-based combat everybody wanted with 7, and like, you know what I mean, like, and just kind of, or not everybody, but a lot of people wanted with 7, and you get like enhanced graphics, Final Fantasy IX traditional style. What do you think?
So are we talking like Final Fantasy VII remake treatment where it's
No,
going to be
I don't see.
okay?
I totally don't see a Final Fantasy VII remake treatment for 9. If they do,
Okay.
I would love it. I think it would be awesome, but I don't think they're going to do that. You know what I mean?
I think we would see 8 before we would see 9 in that sense, like
Yeah.
a remake treatment style game. I think we would see 8 before
Or
9.
just part 2.
Or-
Yeah. But go ahead. Yeah.
But I mean, so Final Fantasy 9 is the only one that hasn't gotten an HD remake, right?
Right. So
HD
Final Fantasy 9 is
remaster.
kind of feeling a
So I
little
can see it.
like Maguri mod is the remaster, right? Like Maguri mod is the way to play. So it's kind of like, man, I'm sure they would want to say, Square Enix is sitting back saying, man, this Maguri mod is the best way to play, but we want people to play it on console. We want people to play it on Switch, like, to make it look pretty, and we want people to buy it, obviously, rather than buy a $9 Final Fantasy 9 and then enhance it with a Maguri mod. They want you to pay a $30-$40, for their version of this enhancement. And I just feel like they can take advantage of that, especially with the cartoon or anime coming out, where it's kind of like that people are going to be excited about 9 again, at least the people that watch that show, or the people that are reminded because of the remaster will watch the show. It kind of goes both ways. So, yeah, that's what my thoughts are on Final Fantasy 9 remake. I think everybody should not think they're going to do a Final Fantasy 7 remake treatment. But I would love to see this HD 2D. You know what I mean? Like a 2D HD.
I honestly, I think 7 is probably going to be the only one that gets that kind of treatment.
Yeah, they're really big. They're really big undertakings, man. Like, maybe after 7 is done, maybe they'll want to revisit something else. I would love to see a Final Fantasy 6 episodic. I feel like that's a perfect game for episodic releases.
Yeah, I mean, that game was basically designed to be episodic because of all the character paths that people take.
They could totally make that work in a remake style.
But I think 7 is probably going to be the only Final Fantasy that gets that 7 remake treatment where it's vastly scoped in. But 6 and 8 I think could benefit from it. But again, it's like it costs so much, and you have to weigh the cost and the cost and
demand,
the risk,
right? Like the risk to the demand, like, because the risk for Final Fantasy 7 remake was going to pay off, and obviously it has. So yeah, like 9 is very popular among fans, but like, you gotta be real. You gotta be real. Like, is it going to be 7 worthy though?
Mhm.
So Final Fantasy Tactics was also mentioned, right? Final Fantasy Tactics Remake was also mentioned. I don't think this is going to be in 2022 at all. I just like kind of bring it up to shut it down. You know what I mean? Like I don't think we're going
Mhm.
to see Final Fantasy Tactics get a remake or a remaster, especially with Triangle Strategy. I on speaking of Triangle Strategy, I believe that Triangle Strategy is maybe Square Enix testing the waters, right? So if Triangle Strategy does really well, then Square Enix will go, oh wow, okay. So there is a market for that. People do want to play these tactics games, and a lot of people have already made the connection. They're like, oh wow, this looks like Final Fantasy Tactics to me. So maybe they'll say, okay, let's go all in and make a Final Fantasy Tactics game. But I don't
I don't
think it's coming 2022.
I don't think Tactics needs a remake. I don't think Tactics 1 or 2 needs a remake. I mean,
Like a
the
2D
war
HD thing would be cool, like in the
well
style of Triangle Strategy.
they have a War of the Lions for Final Fantasy Tactics, which was I think was amazing.
Mm.
Um but instead of making remakes, I think they need to move forward with Tactics and just make a Tactics 3. Instead of making a remake, just make Final Fantasy Tactics 3 because I think too many people are focusing on remakes
I'm
nowadays,
I'm so on board
you
with that,
know?
man. I would love to see. They could have called Triangle Strategy Final Fantasy Tactics 3. But they really
Right,
could have. I don't know if it's because it's not an Evilise or whatever, but like I really think they could have done it.
right.
Um
The only remake we want is prototype remake.
like we're gonna will this into existence, man.
Somebody's
Speaking,
gonna hear it.
let's do one more remake, man. This is a hot topic. People have been talking about Chrono Cross remake.
Okay,
Um,
that's another one that we want.
yeah, okay. So the Chrono Cross remake has been kind of like really rumored, like strongly rumored, because IGN's Rebecca Valentine in their article says, quote, according to Xbox Era's Nick Baker on a recent podcast, the reported big remake mentioned by folk singer, oh man, Haba McMahon on an Irish radio station back in October is indeed a remaster of the sequel spin-off to Chrono Trigger from the original PlayStation era. And what's more, Baker's sources tell him that it will be multi-platform as opposed to PlayStation exclusive. This was also end quote. This is also listed on the Nvidia leak. The Nvidia leak. Sorry. So with those strong rumors, in addition to the Nvidia leak, which was kind of like, is this real? Is it not? This being kind of supported by somebody's Xbox era's Nick Baker, kind of seems like there's a little more to this one. So, Chrono Cross, did you play it on the PS1? Are you excited for it? And what do you predict for 2022?
I did play it on PS1,
Mm-hmm.
and I also got I think it was Final Fantasy 6 Chrono Trigger combo
Mm.
because I hadn't played Chrono Trigger, and then I got the Final Fantasy 6 for my PS2,
Yeah.
and it had the Chrono Trigger on it, and I was just like, let me try this too. And I so yes, I have played it on PS1. I am excited for a remake because that's one Square Enix game that I don't usually go back to. But it's fun to play it over again. You know, when enough time goes by to where you're like, I don't remember what happens between point A and point B
Yeah.
in a video game, and you play it over again and just you have fun again.
Mm-hmm. It's like
Um,
experiencing it for the first time again.
yeah, I would love to get game amnesia for like three specific games,
Yeah.
just to
List them off right
experience them
now.
again.
I gotta get quick list. Quick list. What's the three games?
Okay, three games: Final Fantasy 10, Final Fantasy 7, Dark Souls 1.
Nice.
You probably could have guessed that.
I was gonna say I could have guessed it. That's awesome.
Um,
Yeah. Chrono Cross. I'll be honest with you. I played that like you said, and I have it. Man, I don't remember a thing about it.
right.
So it would be all new to me. I played it on PS1 a long time ago. I think I might have been 10, 9. I don't know. So it was a long, long time ago, and I never played Chrono Trigger. It's one of those games that I feel like it might be a stream worthy game. A lot of people talk so much stuff, so much good stuff about that.
So
So
much sugar.
it's one of the games that I need to go back to. So, anyways, Chrono Cross would be a very cool remake, right? Like I would love to see that happen. So, yeah, thanks so much for joining. Heyo. So yeah, Vinny, Chrono Cross. Do you think we're seeing it this year? Do you think we're gonna get a trailer, or what's up, man? Do you think we'll
A trailer.
Yeah.
If it is real, then a trailer, yes. But
Mm.
a release, if I don't know if it's gonna. There's so much stuff getting released this year, and especially if Remake Part 2 comes out at the end of this year,
Yeah.
I
Oh
don't think
God.
they're going to want. I don't
Let,
think they're going to want to.
I'm sorry. We got to jump into that right now.
Okay.
So you just dropped a big one. Is that a prediction, or do you think remake part two? What's
So
good?
Remake Part 1 came out in 2019, right?
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
yeah, 2020,
Yeah,
2020. It was
it came out
revealed
in
in
2000.
20. Yeah, 2019 was the reveal, like the E3. You know
Oh,
what I mean?
okay.
The E3 thing.
Okay, so 2 years have gone by,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people now. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like I know, what it takes to make a video game. I've seen videos, and I've seen videos of people say like, there's specific people who just make door frames, like in
Yeah.
in some video games. Like there's people who are like teams devoted to
Mm-hmm.
just like, small things that you take for granted,
Mm-hmm.
and it's like a lot goes into making a video game. But I also hear that since Remake Part 1 is already made,
Mm.
a lot of the textures, a lot of the things are
Gameplay is
already
already
done.
established, right? Like you just got to kind of
Right.
enhance on it. Yeah. Like
So,
a lot of the time developing remake part one was dedicated to getting the battle system right. You know what I mean? Like they want to get that
mm,
right. Like you have to you got to write it. You got to make sure everything's planned out. So the remake, I get where you're going with this. Like the remake development was a lot longer for part one, obviously. So for part two, it should kind of go a little more smoothly, is what you're saying.
hmm
Yeah.
yeah, and with with it being a holiday release 2 years later, um, and then this is the 25th anniversary year for Final Fantasy VII. I can definitely see a holiday 2022 PS5 exclusive release
Damn.
for part two, because we have all of the primary movers and shakers. The only thing I can see different is if they do like a Vincent Valentine DLC
Like one
type
more
thing.
intermission.
Yeah,
Intermission part two. It's not the part
right,
two you thought
intermission
was
part two.
coming.
But I don't. I can just with them releasing it for PC, it kind of just seems like they're doing a lot of things leading up to it, like
Mhm. They've been
First
giving us little
Soldier,
nuggets, right?
right? Um, First Soldier, and then they also had the um, what's it called? A Path of Path of Two, the
Yeah, yes,
novelization,
yes, yes. And then yes, I'm sorry. Traces
Traces
of
of
two
Two
pasts. Yes.
Paths,
Mhm.
which is canon, and it seems like it lines up with where Remake Part 2 would either end or
Yeah, it's actually
just.
kind of continued the continuity a little bit, which is
Mhm.
interesting. Like, it's not that substantial, but they are on the boat, like from Junin when they're talking
Yeah,
about something, which is something
heading
I was like,
towards
whoa,
Costa del
whoa, whoa,
Sol,
wait a
right?
second, you're progressing the story. I don't like that, even if it is to set up this, to talk about the past. But yeah, so I get what you're saying, right? So they've been dropping these little nuggets. I say this as if we haven't gotten any information. Like people feel like we haven't gotten any Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 news in forever. And it feels that way for sure, but we have got intermission, right? Intermission,
Mhm.
the ending. I guess we won't spoil that because a lot of people are playing it on PC now. But like the ending of intermission is literally like a teaser trailer. Like they could have released that as a teaser trailer and it would have done fine, but they decided to put it at the end of intermission, which came out this year, on like June for the PS5 and just last month for PC. So we're getting something, and we got a substantial story DLC with Yuffie. So it's kind of like we are getting stuff for Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. Even though people are like, God, I need to see it, man. I need to see Part 2. And I agree. I'm with you, man. I am with you. If you're excited for Part 2 and you just want to see something, I want that too. And I think, Vinny, you're crazy, man. Vinny, crazy thing. I mean, it's fine because if you're right, I'll come over and give you a big old hug.
So game delays aside, because they said 16. See, I'm already talking about 17. They said 16 was delayed 6 months. So if Remake Part 2 was also delayed 6 months, because I'm assuming whatever affected 16 affected them, company wide. So maybe COVID. Development on Remake Part 2 was halted, 6 months as well. Just the longer they push it back, the longer it's going to take to essentially complete the whole game.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, like Remake Part 1, Part 2, and then Part question mark. So the longer the time thing is like, so this Remake Part, so Final Fantasy VII Remake their demographic really is us, the people who played it in, 1997 through like 2005 when we were experiencing the game for the first time. We are their core demographic.
Are you saying
money
we're
wise?
Old, Vinny? Are you gonna go with Are you gonna get to the point where we're gonna die before it comes out?
I don't remember what I had for breakfast, but yes, that's essentially what I'm saying. Because I feel like I'm gonna play video games for my whole life, but I don't know that. And they don't know that. They don't know if I'm gonna be like, if I turn a certain age and I'm just like, I just don't have the time for Remake Part 3, like the longer they push back these titles for Remake, the more people they lose. So I feel like
that's a good point too from Vincent. I'm sorry to cut you off there, but like that's a really good point. Katase and Nomura are up there in age too, right? So I think they want to get this done just as much as you do. Like I think they want to get this done within the decade. Within a 10 years span. I think they're going to want to get this done within 10 years. And I honestly, that's the cycle I'm putting it at, right? Like, I think this is going to be a 10-year thing from 2020 to 2030. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what.
You think 2005 for Remake Part 2?
25, you meant?
2025.
Yeah. That's okay. No. Well, if it's a 3-parter, then maybe. I still want to go with a 2023 release. Like that's where I was going to get at with my prediction. I still want to say 2023 is for Part 2. And then 2026 or 7 maybe for Part 3, and that's when the game ends, or maybe they have to go to a Part 4 and make it 2030. I think they want to get this game within that, and like you got to think production on Part 1 started even before that. Right, so like they've been working on Remake for already at this point, for like almost 10 years, right? So they're just like, okay, we want to get this done. We knew it was going to be a huge, massive undertaking. They're getting up there in age. Funkady says that Katase is 55 and Nomura is 51. So like they're kind of like, man, we don't want to be working on Final Fantasy VII for the rest of our careers. Or actually, I think they even said that one time that they'll probably work on it until they're retired. And it's like, I get that. So I think a 10-year time span is about what they're going for, right? So if I'm lining it up in my mind, 2020 release Final Fantasy, release Final Fantasy VII Remake. 2021 release Intergrade, give them a little something. 2022, let's show them Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. And I think they're going to show us Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2. I think they're going to give us a little nugget. And I think it might even come at the end of 2022. It might be at the Game Awards, right? I think this is going to be, they'll show us at the Game Awards to get us excited about 2023. And then 2023 E3 time will be Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2.
Well,
And then 2023 at the end of the year or March or April 2024. That's where I'm going with this.
see, like if you take like other developers into consideration, so like From Software,
Mm-hmm.
they released Demon Souls in 2009, and I think Dark Souls 3 came out in 2017.
Hmm.
I think it was 2017 or 2018. So you're talking, almost a decade
Mm-hmm.
of games.
Yeah.
They made Demon Souls, Dark Souls, and Bloodborne. And once Dark Souls 3 came out, Miyazaki was like, "I am done with Dark Souls." He was like,
Yeah.
he was like, I want to be able to make other games.
Yeah.
I'm done with Dark Souls." And so it takes a lot out of a studio, a developer, a company to just work on one thing.
Mm-hmm. And this is like almost a kind of a different, like, I mean, like it's very similar to what you're saying. I totally get your point. But this is more of a continuous story, whereas Dark Souls does have, like you say, there are connected. But this is
Mm,
kind of like, man, we want to see this story to the end. I'm sure that's what Katase and Nomura are thinking, like, we want to see this to the end, right? Like, they're getting
right.
up there in age. I'm not saying that 55 and 51 is super duper old and they're gonna, be gone soon.
But
But I think they're gonna be like, can we just get this game out? And I want to see it to the end. And with Final Fantasy VII being a continuous story that ends with cliffhangers and ends with like, oh my god, this mystery and stuff, I think it's exciting times for them. People are still talking about Remake, which is they succeeded in. People are still talking about the story, even today, 2 years later, 2 years after launch, right? So they're doing what they wanted to do, and they're building up to. I think they're going to show us something. I guess what I'm trying to say is that this conversation could definitely, like, we could talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake and the production and where we think it's going, but as far as like 2022 in general,
mm,
um, to narrow that focus in on what do we see from Final Fantasy VII Remake 2022. I love your prediction. I mean, I love your idea of thinking like, oh yeah, this could be a 2022 release, and that's exciting because then it would literally be Final Fantasy VII Remake 2020, 2021 intermission, 2022 part 2, right? Because like
mm,
that makes sense, intermission right and snug right in between. But I do think, with, like I said earlier in the show, a stacked 2022 lineup in the first half, and then the second half should just be dedicated to 16. Like the second half should be 16 all the way, and just focus everything on that. And then once that game's out in the open, like, hey, and this lines up perfectly with my predictions, by the way. Like, so if Final Fantasy 16 comes out right after the Game Awards, you show your launch trailer at the Game Awards for 16. The hype is there. You show Final Fantasy 7 Remake coming sometime next year, like in 2023. That is the most hype thing ever, right?
mm.
And you're so hyped for Final Fantasy that you're just like, I gotta go to 16, right? Like, I'm just so hyped for Final Fantasy. Um, so I think 2023 is probably the target right now for them. I think 2023, and like somebody said in chat earlier, I'm not sure, might have been Vincent, might have been Phantom, but like they're rebuilding a lot of assets. Like you said, you get to take the core mechanics over. You get to take, like, okay, we have gameplay established. We can bring that over and enhance it. I'm sure they're going to add new features, new like team ups, things that you can kind of build off of that. Aerial combat can be improved, and like stuff like that can be improved, and like assets, gameplay, all this stuff can be improved. But you gotta think, man, they're building a world now.
Mm.
Like, Remake didn't have trees and rivers and like, I mean, yeah, Aerith's house and stuff, but like now you got to build a large open area, or not. I don't know what they're gonna do. But you have to build large open areas now. You have to build environments, biomes. You have to build towns, like fully realized towns now, because you set the precedent with Remake being fully realized. Now,
So
Calm has to be fully realized. You know what I mean? Like, Chocobo Farm
so
has to be feel. Yeah, let's go ahead.
this is going to be a very unpopular thing, but games have done this before. Now it's going to be a different engine, so I don't know if I think it's going to be a different engine, so I don't know if this applies. Like I said, I don't I'm not gonna pretend like I know the first thing about making a video game.
That
But
might be
games
okay.
like Call of Duty, a lot of games will use assets
Yeah.
that are pre-made from their previous games. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see Final Fantasy 15 things because Final
Mm,
Fantasy 15 has biomes.
yeah,
Um,
that's
I
that's gonna
wouldn't
be
be
a different engine for
surprised.
sure. Yeah.
So
Um,
you don't think they'd be able to use those assets because it's a different engine, right?
like I said, I can't pretend that
I
I
don't
make
know.
video games, but
Right.
I do know some stuff, right? So like I'm very passionate about that, like the how games are made. I just don't know how to make them. But I
Mhm.
do think that assets from like the Luminous engine from Final Fantasy 15 is going to do great for carrying over into Forspoken, right? Because they're on the same
Mhm.
engine. But I don't
Right.
think you can. I don't think they're going to work well with Unreal Engine. They might even be taking the engine into Unreal Engine 5, and I think they are. So like for Remake, which is from my understanding a very easy transition from Unreal Engine 4 to Unreal Engine 5. They're meant to be working together. So to
Mhm.
have Unreal Engine 5, God, you can imagine too. I'm just thinking about it right now. Like the nanite technology, the global illumination, all that other stuff is going to make that open world look so freaking phenomenal. And like the tools are there for Unreal Engine. I think it was such a brilliant decision to bring it into Unreal Engine. So building these open worlds, I don't necessarily think that are going to be like this massive undertaking, like to build biomes and stuff. I think the biggest undertaking is going to come down to like Junin, right? Because you
Mhm.
have to make Junin look awesome. You have to make it fully
Well,
realized. You got to have everything.
it's going to be Remake Part Two's version of Midgar. It's going
Right.
to be what they enhanced because Junin was a really, really short part of the game. Like it not that it was unimportant, but it was basically a couple of hallways. You
Right.
know, like the open streets and stuff were basically a couple of hallways, but there was a lot of exploration you could do. You
Mm-hmm.
know, going into different alleys to go to different shops and
Yeah.
you know and I guess another question is are they gonna finally do something with that like 134th scale soldier
Yeah.
figurine
That'd
that
be
you
fun. Like,
can
well,
collect but do nothing with?
for this game,
um
it's instead of collecting choco or Moogle medals, now you're collecting the soldiers.
right. But
That's cool.
there's a lot of aspects of Junin that could just be enhanced like the dolphin thing that you like that
Mm.
that scene remade with fighting the I forgot what it's called, but I always used to call it Leviathan, but
Yeah.
it's obviously not Leviathan. It's
Hmm.
that sea
That's what
serpent.
you get afterwards. But yeah, like right, yeah, it looked like a leviathan sea serpent. Sure.
Well, don't you get Shiva after that, don't you? You get
Oh
Leviathan
God,
from
my bad. I'm
Wutai.
sorry. You get that Wutai. I'm sorry. So look, I've already
Um,
made the connection to Leviathan. Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
but then there's the CPR mini game, which
Yeah. Like these are
might look,
fun things that need to be in there for sure.
and then you have the marching, which the
Oh
mar the
yeah.
marching I feel like is going to be pretty cool,
Yeah.
but
I'm
they need
excited.
to they need to definitely expand on Junin, which makes me think that the other aspects of the lead up to
Mm-hmm.
Junin is going to be smaller. Like Calm, I don't think is going to be fully recognized.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and then what is that? The Materia Cave, is that what it's called in the one where
The
you
Mithril
after the
Mines.
Zalem?
The
Mithril
Mithril.
Mines,
Yeah. Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
I think that's gonna be probably just like a dungeon. Um,
Like that kind of
and then
stuff. Yeah. Like you're saying right now. Like that kind of stuff probably won't be that intensive. I mean, once again, we don't make them, so that some developers watching this, like, bro, I've been working on this for the past year, and you're telling me it's not. What are you talking about?
right, you know how
But
many door
yes,
frames I
you
made?
know what I mean. You know how many mithril mines I have made in that mine. So I think
But
those areas, and I'm seeing like some chat. I'm seeing like Phantom and Vincent talking right now, talking about skipping things or making them cutscenes. I'm honestly, I'm not there, right? So I don't like
I
so if
I, I hope they don't make the Zalem a cutscene. I hope that's a fully playable,
Yeah.
we'll talk about that more
For
later.
sure, right, right. I mean, I wouldn't like. Yeah, we'll talk about that more because I mean, I feel like that's kind of cool. But that's obviously we will talk about Final Fantasy VII Remake for a while. So 2022, we'll stick. We gotta keep it reel it in here.
Just one more thing you have to remember
Yeah.
is all the things they added from in Remake Part 1 with the underground and all the Dirge of Cerberus stuff that they added. Like if they add it to Junin, then it's gonna be huge as well. Like
Mm.
it's so there are a lot of things that they need to add, but I still think that, I think 2 years, 2 years, a 2 years per part
Mm-hmm.
would be, you know,
That'd be
I
nice.
guess would be nice, yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, maybe 2023 then.
Yeah. Like so. Okay. Yeah. 2022. I do believe we're gonna get a teaser though. We're gonna get something. We're gonna get something. Whether it be like a little teaser and then maybe an official title so that people know what to call it. Besides just part two. Unless if it is part two, cool. So I think we see an official title this year. I think it's going to be part of the 25th anniversary, man. They're not going to show it this year. I really truly believe that they're not going to just skip this year on showing Final Fantasy VII in some way. I think we're going to get a trailer,
We
a
we got
teaser
to track
trailer.
the voice acters too. We
I mean,
gotta we gotta track their movements.
we've seen the Japanese actress for Tifa in the studio recording
Hmm.
or doing the motion caps. So like we've
Hmm.
seen these stages of the development are coming along nicely, and I think 2022, especially if they're doing mocap, maybe they're just trying to like, hey, let's finalize this. Let's finalize this teaser trailer that we're going to show this year. And I think they're gonna release a teaser trailer. I think it's going to. God, I would love to see that. This is my question for you before we close it out,
Okay.
and for chat as well. Anybody watching now? Realistically speaking, I want to make sure that we reel in those expectations. Realistically speaking, what of Final Fantasy VII Remake 2 would you want to see in 2022? Like, so I know you want to see a full, like, give me the trailer. I want to see the gold saucer. I want to see everything. But let's reel it in and talk about if it's a teaser trailer. What do
Hmm.
you want to see in Final
So
Fantasy VII Remake Part 2?
teaser trailer, I wanted to
Like, let's say
open
30
up
seconds. Let's say it's a 30-second trailer. Just to,
30-second teaser trailer.
yeah, yeah.
It's gonna open up with them talking in the inn in calm. It's gonna do like the fade to black, Cloud seeing Sephiroth um in Midgar, and then they're gonna talk a little bit. You're gonna see some maybe gameplay of like they're gonna do the whole like quick like maybe 1.5 second you see some gameplay of a certain thing. So like see like 1.5 second fight against the Zalem, you know, some exploration, some traveling, and then it's gonna end with like something big happening in Junin.
Hmm. Hmm.
And then they're gonna close it out because then you're gonna know like you're gonna see the grandiose boss battles that they have prepared for you, and then you're gonna see where you're going. It's gonna get you excited for where your destination is heading.
Hmm.
Genesis reading
I
Loveless.
saw. There's your teaser, and it just reads all like it reads the four acts and then says Act 5, and then that's it.
Yep. Gonna
So
say
okay,
Loveless
I like what you're.
2023, and that's all we're gonna get.
Loveless is the title. Final Fantasy VII Remake Loveless. No. So I love what you're going there. You're saying that we get like a quick glimpses of everything, right? We're gonna get a quick glimpse of like gameplay, open or how the open world will be handled. Quick glimpse of some combat, maybe some like aerial combat or team ups that we didn't see in the first one. Like, ooh, that's exciting. What are they doing there? It looks like freaking Red 13 is jumping off Barrett's gun or something. You know what I mean? Like, I just for some reason I pictured like Ranoa like from from Final Fantasy 8 just like shooting Red 13, but it does. It's okay.
And then the trailer's gonna end with buy Gilcoin now.
But oh no, cut the feed. No, yeah. So I think that's cool, man. I like that. I think, and it looks like No Way agrees. We want to see some confirm if it's open world, right? So confirm how this world is going to be handled. It's kind of one of my biggest questions right now, and we made a whole video on it, like 2 videos on it actually, I think, where it's just kind of like, how is the open world going to be handled in Remake Part 2? And this trailer could give us a glimpse at like a huge, large open area, and maybe you can see like a map in the top right, and you can judge off of that map what's going on. Yeah, so
I think a silhouette of a maybe the silhouette of like, well, no, because that wouldn't work in the continuity. I was gonna say like the silhouette of like at the very end, like it fades to black, and then either you hear Vincent's voice, you don't see him, but you hear his voice, or like it fades to black and like it like pans behind somebody and you just see the silhouette.
Because Vincent's going to be that pop off, dude. Vincent would be the pop.
But he also, it just wouldn't fit unless they change the story for Vincent, but he's slumbering in that coffin.
Yeah.
And he says he's been slumbering for X amount of years before he woke him up. So like
my bold prediction is that Part 2 gets to Passney, but it gets to the Forgotten City. That's my prediction. Which is just insane, which means 2023 is more accurate than I thought. But like, you know what I mean? So that means Vincent would be there, and Vincent would be that pop off, man. Like, if you show Vincent in some way during that teaser trailer, that's the big deal. Like, that's the, oh my God, Vincent! So I'm excited about it, man. I know everybody else is. 2022, we're predicting a teaser trailer for Final Fantasy VII Remake to celebrate the 25th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII. Also leading the charge is Ever Crisis and First Soldier with their seasons. Yeah, Vinny, so actually, we don't wrap this up. We actually got to talk about our FFTV guide and what to expect from Final Fan TV. So those of you watching, this won't take long. I do just want to let you guys know what is coming for Final Fan TV and how you can watch it, when you can watch it. We're going to try and be a little more consistent with our shows, and you kind of know what to expect each week, right? Like how TV should work. There should be like, oh man, on the weekend, on Saturday at 3 p.m. I got to catch the final podcast, right? So let's do that. So the first things first, Final Podcast. You're watching it right now. Final Podcast is going to be our weekly show every weekend. We're aiming for Saturday, just to full transparency. Vinny's job, it's a on 1 day, off 3 days. Yep. So you gotta have to, like, there are going to be weekends where he works on a Saturday. So we're going to move it to Sunday that weekend or something. So like 3 out of the 4 times it should be, I think, if my math is correct, it'll be Saturday and then a Sunday, and then Saturday, Sunday. Final Podcast will happen weekly. We hope to feature more great interviews with community members, voice talent, and developers. We'll even host an open door podcast. So this is exciting. It's something I've been thinking about for a while. We're still thinking about how to do it correctly. But in the meantime, we'll be opening up our Discord. And hopefully, if you want to be on the show, and you want to talk to us, talk about something Final Fantasy 7 or Final Fantasy related, then you can get it off your chest, or just share some hype with us. We love hype. We love it. If you're so hyped for something and you just got to talk about it, come on the show and talk with us. We'll be doing that every now and then. So be excited for that. And the next show we want to talk about this is one I'm really excited about, Vinny. You know how we like to play our mini games on this show. You know how we like to do our Mad Libs with voice actors. We do lots of fun games with our guests. Well, I want to open that up to not only content creators and voice talent. I want to open it up to the fans. I want to open it up to you guys. So if you want to be on Final Fan TV, well, we have and play a game, right? A game show. We have a new show coming up called Final Fan TV's Mini Games Show. So season 1 of the mini game show will alternate on a weekly basis between Password. The password is Final Fantasy. That's what it's called. Feud, which is a Family Feud spoof. Mad Lib's Final Fantasy, which is going to have a little twist to it, where we'll take like a quote or a synopsis, and you replace the words within that. We read it back to you, and you got to guess what it is. And then one that I am personally really excited about, and I've been working on it for a while. Just got to make sure I got the balancing right. Fortune Wheel, which is like Wheel of Fortune, but with a Final Fantasy twist, a Final Fantasy adventure twist. And I think I got something pretty fun there. So that's going to all happen Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. So really cool. So you could be like, okay, it's Tuesday night. Got to go check out Final Fan TV. Now that's a tentative time slot, but I'm pretty sure it's going to be Tuesday nights at 9 p.m. It might be 10 p.m. But I will have an official time, so that way you know when it's going to start every week. And once that starts, it's going to happen every week. And then you've heard it already on the show today, the Warrior of Hype Check. So the Warrior of Hype Check is going to be a minute or two of just me going crazy about something coming out. All right. Maybe even me talking to you, like getting your thoughts on it. Right. Like, so you'll be involved in it too, but it's going to be kind of me just hyping up something Final Fantasy related. Just like I did for 16 earlier, predicting the launch window and stuff. The next video, standalone video series, is 7 Things. So this is a returning series this year, as we will list 7 things about Final Fantasy VII, past, present, and future. It's going to be a list of 7 things. It could be anything, Vinny. It could be like top 7 party combinations. You know what I mean? You know what I mean? Like, you know, just anything like that. It could be, it doesn't even have to be a top 7. It could be 7 weapons we can't wait to see in Remake Part 2. You know what I mean? Like, it just could be anything. And if you're, you know, watching this, give us suggestions. We'll answer them. It's gonna be great. We'll make a whole video out of it. Maybe even have you give us a thing to contribute to the list. So the next video series is another returning one. It only had 1 episode. I guess you could call it a pilot. Top 5 will come back. So this will be our top 5 list of anything and everything Final Fantasy. So, and I'm sure at some point this year we will do our top 5 Final Fantasy games. What to expect in Final Fantasy VII Remake Part 2 will be back for 2022. Just wanted to give you guys a little insight to that. Those videos take a lot of editing work, a lot of scripting work, a lot of research, a lot of making sure that I'm not sounding stupid in the script and all that other stuff. Because I have ideas, but I want to make sure I fact check them. So anyways, it's a very time-consuming video series, and those videos will just happen when they happen, months apart. I can let you know that I've already started the Chocobo Farm video, which is on its way. Like, the script is already done. I've recorded it, but wasn't happy with it. We'll come back to it. So yeah, the Chocobo Farm and Midgar Zalem video are coming up next.
Yep, that is. I promise that is coming soon. Very soon.
Yeah, and another series, I gotta continue it. It's going to be a series now, unless if it just like does very poorly next time. Final Fantasy VII Remake with the classic camera is coming back, because it would be just dumb not to, right, Vinny?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we're gonna keep that going. As long as you guys love it, and as long as you guys keep watching it and commenting, and you want to see more, I will keep making more. They are very time consuming, and they take a lot of effort to get right, because I kind of just want to make sure everything's right all the time, and it's a problem. But anyways, I've already begun work. What's up?
Just a little tidbit.
Yeah.
From the time we started filming this to the time right now, the video's gotten 5,000 views.
Insane. 5,000 views is kind of like, we don't even get that on our normal videos. You know what I mean? Like, and it just happened in an hour span. So really cool. I'm really happy that people enjoy that series. So we will be making more, or like I'm already hard at work on the next one that covers Sector 8 topside and Sector 7's slums, which in the grand scheme of things, that's only a couple screens. So hopefully, it won't take too long. I think I've already gotten half of it done. I do want to throw in some cool little, like in the first video, I threw in like the battle camera. So I want to kind of throw in like some cool things there. So every now and then. So that'll be coming soon. And then let's get over to the Twitch side of things, Vinny. I'm going to hand this one off to you because I want you to talk about it. We're going to be doing the Firega Fighter streams. This is a series for Vinny. It's going to be, you're going to be doing it. Tell them about what you're going to be doing.
So, I think we're gonna take it to a poll because I don't want to stream anything that people like. If somebody comes here for Final Fantasy, I don't want to play Elden Ring and people say like, well, this isn't Final Fantasy. So we're gonna take that to a poll. If you want to see Elden Ring when it gets released, if you want to see it on our channel, because I don't think there's gonna be any Final Fantasy-esque mods for it, anywhere near release. But other games in the Soulsborne series, like Dark Souls 3 and Sekiro, have Final Fantasy-based mods. One of them is in Sekiro, you could play as Cloud and have the final boss be Sephiroth, and it really looks, really, really good how they made the mod. It works really well, and it looks, you can almost forget you're watching Sekiro when you're kind of watching the video. So we're going to be streaming some other games with Final Fantasy mods in them. One of them I'm hoping my computer can run is the Resident Evil 3 Remake
Nice.
Tifa mod, because that looks like it's gonna be a lot of fun. It's like Tifa fighting zombies. But yeah, Elden Ring is more of a preparation for something that we're excited to stream, which is Stranger of Paradise, because that is something I can play by myself or have Daniel hop in with me. Because it's always a pleasure when we're both there.
Yeah.
So it's so I'm gonna be, because of my job, I'm gonna try and stream 2 nights a week, and some weeks might be one night because of the schedule. I work 24 hours a shift, and then I'm off for 72 hours. So Monday and Friday is going to be the 2 days that I try and stream. Obviously not this upcoming week, Daniel, because I am working Monday and Friday.
Nice. Yeah, I was thinking we kick all this off in like, I don't know, maybe, but it works out. Actually, it works out good. So that way we can have everything ready to go. Yeah.
But yeah. So basically, in the comments or in chat, just kind of say what you want to see streamed, because I'm willing to stream anything, even 13 if people want to see it.
Yeah.
I've hesitated with streaming Final Fantasy 14 because I am not anywhere near Endwalker. I am still in A Realm Reborn, and I don't know if people want to see A Realm Reborn fetch quests for 2 to 3 hours. So,
Yeah.
13 Part 2, jeez.
Jeez.
But yeah, so we're going to be trying to stream a lot of Final Fantasy based things that people want to see and that we can keep engaging. Final Fantasy challenge runs, Final Fantasy mods on different games, or Final Fantasy Remake with mods. What you guys want to see, just let us know so we can make it happen, because we're here for you. So let us know what you want to see.
Yeah, man, we're here for you. That's a great thing. I mean, we're Final Fan TV. So like, this is TV for the fans of Final Fantasy. You know what I mean? Like, so we really want to get you guys involved for 2022. That's the whole thing. Like, we want to get you involved somehow, some way. So yeah, that's exciting for me, because we're gonna be making, and look, man, full openness right now. We're making a big push, man. We really want to get the attention of Square Enix. We want to be sponsored. We want to do sponsored streams.
We want their sponsorship.
Yeah,
we want to be able to give out codes.
Yeah, I mean, and we're very passionate about Final Fantasy, obviously. You know what I mean? Like, this is the kind of
I just
stuff.
work here.
Yeah, right. This is a job. But yeah, I mean, like, we want to get the attention of Square Enix, and I think we're on our way. That 1,000 subs. Thank you so much, because that is, you don't even know how big that
Hmm.
is, because 900, great. 1,000, you got the attention, because there are literally signups that say, do you have a platform with 1,000 subscribers or followers? And we weren't able to do that until now, so thank you for that.
And it just feels good, seeing 1,340 subscribers, because that's like 1,340 people saying, you know, good job.
Yeah,
We
right,
enjoy
for
you.
sure,
Good job.
yeah.
You know?
And all the comments, man, I've been trying to keep up with them, but thank you so much for all the positive comments and saying that you love what I'm doing. Even like, I had somebody comment and say like, oh well, also great job, but I wasn't going to say that because there's so many people saying it. And I'm like, dude, don't ever hold yourself back from that, because like, if there's 500 comments that say great job, even, and then there's 499 great jobs, and then that 500 comes in, I'm still gonna love it just as much. You know what I mean? Like, it's gonna still mean just as much. So the last,
I'll be the first one to say I love a good pat on the back.
love a good pat on the back. Me
I love
too,
a good
man.
pat on the back.
Yeah. So those are exciting. So we're gonna be making big pushes, man. So in order to do that, we're gonna be pushing for the next thing for Square Enix, and it just so happens that, I mean, Stranger of Paradise is like Vinny's combination of his two favorite things, so it works out great. Um, so Stranger of Paradise will be a big push. Chocobo GP is going to be a big push, and of course, we love First Soldier anyway, because it's always hype when we stream it. So we're gonna be trying to get some First Soldier streams in as well. Also, to speaking of those kind of streams, like, so First Soldier or whatever, but the Warrior of Hype, which is me, I will be coming on for a stream every now and then. The Warrior of Hype hangout streams. Now on this one, it's going to be random, so it's the only thing that's pretty much random right now. Is that I'm just going to come on when I have time, and they're going to be like, I'm going to give myself a time slot. So if you see Warrior of Hype is on, you know that, oh, okay, this is going to be a 30-minute conversation. Let me just jump in there for 30 minutes. Because a lot of the times when you see a Twitch streamer, you're like, oh, I don't know how long this is going to go on for, right? And that's good. But also, when you have a time limit, like if you have a time slot, I feel like people are going to be wanting to see like, okay, for 30 minutes, I can jump in there real quick from the beginning and to the end. So that'd be kind of
Bathroom
the,
break.
yeah, it'd be kind of the way kind of the way it goes. Watch me while you're on the toilet. That'd be, yeah, just that'd be great. Engage with me while you're pooping. So admittedly though, so I won't be able to do it like consistently, but when I do go live, I have some really fun ideas, man. I've got some fun things planned. Like I got like I want to take a look at. I don't want to spoil anything, but it's basically a direct conversation with you guys, right? So I want to check in with you. I want to PHS, if you will. Like I want to see what's going on over in the on the Final Fan side. So like, if you have any questions for me, let me know. I'll answer them. If you want to know what's going on with the Midgard Zalem video, I mean, I can tell you. But yeah, so it'll be just a kind of a check-in every now and then, and then also, if you have any questions on like, hey, I want to be on the show, how do I get on the show? I can answer those too and point you in the right direction. So before we go, let's do that right now. Do you guys have any questions before we go on the FFTV guide? If not, thank you so much for watching this.